Hey guys, this is Mark with Tech Necessity. Today I'm going to show you how you can create an animated signature that looks like this that you can use in any of your videos. Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how you can create an animated signature with a transparent background using motion that you can use in any of your videos. I actually have one from my videos, looks like this. But if you want to use one for your videos, let's see how you can do it. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so in order to get started with this type of graphic, first thing I needed to do was get a way to see my signature in motion so that I could actually animate it. So what I did was I actually signed my name on a piece of paper the way that I would do it, and then I scanned it into my computer as an image so that I could use it in motion. So the first thing we want to do is go ahead and open up Motion. You'll get your opening screen. Looks like this. The first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and import that logo or that image that I took of my signature, just right here. Import that in, and you get something that looks like this. Now, the goal is to actually trace my name with the Bezier tool and then have it animate in as if I was signing the paper. So what I'm going to do first to make it a little easier is I'm going to actually zoom in. So I'm going to decrease my canvas here so I can see a little more, and I'm going to hold the shift key and then drag to increase the size, because what I'm going to ultimately do is make this background transparent so then I can place this signature over anything that I would like. Alright, so now I'm going to go back to fit, and you'll see my signature there. I'm actually going to zoom in just a little bit more to make it easier to trace the outline. So if I go to my zoom tool by pressing Z, I click and drag, it's going to allow me to zoom in. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my selection tool, and if I hold the space bar, it will also allow me to move this around while I drag. Place it right there. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and grab my Bezier tool here, and I'm just going to start tracing the lines of my signature. So if I click here, click, and then I'll drag, and what that does is it creates this smooth edge that allows you to make it to match the shape of the line. Now remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is a signature, so it's not going to be exactly the same every time you do it, but it should be pretty close. So in order to make this turn here, if I just click on this point here and drag, you'll notice that it does this. Now there's not really a way for me to fix that, but if I select this point and I right click on this handle and I click break handle, that will then allow me to just move that one handle, and I can make it match the curve of that line. So I'm going to go to my next point, click and drag, something like that. I have to do the same thing here. Right click on this handle, break that handle. Something around like that. I'm going to have to adjust this a little bit now. So I'll move that just a tad. And like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, but as long as you get it close. I'm going to go ahead and click here, drag. I'm going to break this handle here, move that down. Click on my next point. Now I'm not going to go all the way up here because I think it's going to look better if I just go to about here. So I'm going to click and drag there. This one in particular, if you notice, it actually does this curve here. So if I just click on this one side and drag it in, I think I can get it to match that curve there. And then all I need to do is adjust this one to match this curve. Okay. Down here at the bottom of this first M, I'm going to go ahead and drag, get that to match. I'm going to break the handle on this one, drag it down. So as you can see, that's pretty close. Once I get it to a point where I'm happy, if you tweak it a little bit here and there, then go ahead and you can either click the final point again, first point again, or if I just hit the enter key, it will go ahead and finish it off for me. Now, obviously this is not the look we're going for. What it did was it actually connected this first point to the last point. That's why you have this line going across here, and it creates this odd looking shape. The way you get rid of that is by going to your inspector. Right here where it says fill, we're going to uncheck that box. That's going to remove all the fill that it did, and it's just going to leave the outline. At this point you could adjust the width of the outline to make it a little thicker if you'd like. I think I'm looking at about 12. That looks pretty good. You could adjust this, the color. You can make it green. You could make it pink. Whatever color you want. I'm going to go ahead and leave it as white. And then once you've got your color selected and everything, then your goal is to actually get this to draw on. Now, how do you do that? If you look over here in the outline, inspector under outline, you'll see right here where it says first point offset, last point offset. If you drag these little sliders, you'll see that it kind of draws in. Now, when you're writing this, you don't want it to come in this way, because typically when you sign, you're going to go like this and go from left to right. So what we're going to do is we're going to adjust the last point offset. We're going to start it at 0. Now, this is also key because you want to determine how long you have it take to sign in will determine how fast it goes. Now, you don't want to do it too slow, you don't want to do it too fast. You want to try to get the pace of your actual signature. So what we're going to do first is make sure our timeline, we're right here at the beginning of our timeline. I'm going to go ahead and add a keyframe, and then I'm just going to move it, let's just say take 1 second to draw on. So I'm going to move my playhead to here. I'm going to add one more keyframe, and then I'm going to drag this slider all the way to the end, 100%. Now, if you drag your playhead back to the beginning, you'll notice as I play this, it actually draws on. And that's actually not a bad speed. If you see that, that's probably about the speed that I would sign my signature. So now what you want to do is essentially do the same exact thing, but for each of these other pen strokes. Alright, so now as you can see, I've traced the entire shape of my signature. Like I said, it's not perfect, but it doesn't need to be because it is a signature. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go shape by shape and animate them the same way that I animated the M. You do have to keep in mind that some of these strokes are longer, so you will have to change the speed of the stroke, meaning the time that it takes when you do your keyframes, so that the speed matches the same as the M. You don't want the M to draw in very fast and the second stroke to draw in really slow. So you got to keep the pace about the same. So if you watch the M, we did this in 1 second. So now let's go ahead. We'll see if we draw in the second shape right after the 1 second mark. I'm going to have it start. So the second shape will start to draw in as soon as the M is finished. So if I select second shape here, and I go over to my outline, I'm going to drag my offset, add my first keyframe. I'm going to go ahead and make this 1 second also, so I'm going to move my playhead to the 2 second mark. I have to change the duration. Project duration. Let's go ahead and just make this 10 seconds, just so we have the space to adjust this. So at the 2 second mark, right here, we're going to go ahead and add our next keyframe. Add that keyframe in and then have it draw in like that. Let's go ahead and let's look and see how this is, to see if the speed needs to be adjusted. So if I hit the play button, you can see that it does draw in a little slower than the M, but I think the speed's actually okay. So we'll leave that where it is. I'm going to extend this out a little bit. Let's move on to the next shape. So the next shape is the S. Now you can see the S is quite a bit shorter of a stroke than the rest of these. So I'm actually going to have to do this one over a longer period of time so that it doesn't draw in too fast. So if I actually go to the end, so we'll go to 2 seconds where the last one ended, and let's just make it 1 second. We'll see how fast or how slow it draws in. So I'm going to go over here, my shape is selected, go to my last point, add a keyframe, drag it to 0. Then I'm going to move this to 3 seconds, and I'm going to add my another keyframe, and I'm going to drag this to 100. Now, because it's a shorter shape and it takes the same amount of time to draw in, it's actually going to draw in quite a bit slower than the M and the other one. So let's watch the difference. So if I hit play, you see how that S takes a little bit more time to finish up. I mean, it's actually the same amount of time, but it draws so slow, it appears like it's taking longer. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to my second keyframe. I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to make this, take this down to 2:15, which means this will only take a half a second or 15 frames to draw in. So if I add my keyframe there and then I drag it to 100, now when we watch this, hopefully the pace is correct. You see how it went at about the same speed. Okay, now this final one is about the same as this, so I think we should be able to make this about 1 second and it should be good. So at the 2 seconds and 15 frames mark, we're going to animate our final stroke. Take this down to 0. I'm going to move this to 3:15. Give us 1 second. Okay. Add my next keyframe and drag this up to 100. There we go. So now let's take a look at the entire signature. I'm going to deselect everything so that you can see the way that it looks. So if I hit play, it draws in like that. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and delete the image that I have underneath it so that you can see what it looks like without that behind it. So select it, hit delete, there we go. So there's my signature. It's going to sign in like that. Now you can change the speed. What I like to do is if I'm using this for editing in Final Cut or wherever I'm using it, if I want it to sign in faster or slower, I'll just adjust the speed actually in the program. So what this is actually going to look like, if you click here, you can see transparent background. It's kind of hard to see, but it'll look something like this. So basically you can place this over the top of anything you have, any video project, and it will sign in like that. So what I'm going to do now is change this back so it's easier to see. I'm going to go ahead and export this. So I share it, export movie. If you go to settings, you'll see that it's actually going to export your as a with an alpha channel as well. So you want to make sure you got that alpha channel because that will allow the background to be transparent. 1920 by 1080, that's good. All right, I'm going to click next. And we'll go ahead and save this. I'm going to save it to my desktop. And I'm just going to call it signature. Click save. It's not going to take long because it's only 2 seconds long, or 3.5 seconds long. So it's finished. And here is our final product. You have your signature signing on. Hey guys, I hope this was helpful and you can use this in your videos, and I'll see you next time on Tech Necessity.